cool. It's the opposite of what you.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? I'm on my way to pick up a student and go to the Jamaica Road Test site. Today is November. What is today? November 15th, 2018. It's snowing. This the first uh, snow snowy day in New York City for the year. So, a couple of things that you have to be careful of when you're driving, especially on a day like today when nobody or very few people were probably prepared for the road to be this slick. Well, it's not very slick right now, but there's a nice little coating of snow on the ground, and the plows or the salt spreaders were not out last night or even today. So that means that it can get pretty slick out here. If the salt spreaders were out the night before, then the amount of snow that's on the ground out right now would just be wet. But it's actually sticking a little bit on the road. So what you have to do is you have to be careful with several things when you're driving. When you're driving in weather like this, look at the road. If the road looks icy or looks like snow is sticking to the ground, then you want to do several things. Say right now, I'm on Linden Boulevard in Brooklyn, and what I'm doing is I'm leaving a little bit more distance between myself and the car in front of me, just in case I have to stop short, or just in case that person and the person in front of me stops short, then I can stop in time. One of the things you have to factor in when you're stopping is the weather and the conditions of the road. If the conditions of the road are more slick as they are right now in this type of weather, then you need more distance in order to stop, because you won't be able to stop your car as quickly. Also, you have to think of things that you might not think of, such as your tires. Sometimes your tires might not have as good, the treads on your tires might not be as good as they should be in order for you to stop properly. The thicker, the more deeper the treads on your tires are, the better you're able to stop your vehicle in conditions like this. But if your tires are smooth or the treads are not very deep, then you're riding. You may be riding on a condition called bald tires. So that's like me, like I'm bald right now. So imagine your tires look like the top of my head. That's called bald tires. And if you try to stop on bald tires, then you'll just skid. Even in situations where you're not driving that fast. All right, so that's like me putting a cube of ice on the top of my head and expecting it to stay there. It'll just slide right off. But if I had a full head of hair, it would just sit on top of my head and melt. So it's the same kind of thing when you're driving. If you're driving with bald tires, or the treads on your tires are not that deep, it'll be harder for you to stop your vehicle. So when you're taking your road test, you want to think of things like that too. Not that you should drive incredibly slow, but in a situation like this where the weather is bad, or the roads might be a little bit more slick, you want to tend to drive a little bit slower than you normally would. So I would say, if you would normally drive at 25, then take your speed down to 22. If you would normally drive at 23, take your speed down to maybe 20 or 19. Uh, so yeah, so maybe just a little bit slower, not a lot slower. You don't want to crawl on your road test unless it's really, really bad. And if it's that bad, then they will probably cancel the road test. But like I said in one of my earlier videos, one of the first videos I think I did, I talked about the weather conditions, and the New York State DMV does not cancel road tests due to snow or rain unless it's really, really, really bad. It has to be so bad where they don't think it's safe for people to drive. And unfortunately, there may not be any way for you to know that until you show up at the road test site, and then somebody tells you that, okay, it's canceled for today, or in some situations, if they get a chance to update their website, they may be able to notify you through the website. Also, now, since they upgraded their website, I've noticed that on their website, sometimes they ask for your phone number. So when you're booking a road test, so if you did give them your phone number, I would think that they would use that phone number to send out maybe like some sort of mass text message saying that, hey, the road test in your area is canceled or whatever. Are they doing that, or will they do that? I don't know, but if they're collecting the phone numbers, that would be something good that they could do. That way, if you're on the way to your road, yeah, I'm driving. This is the first time I'm doing a live, and I'm driving, so so I might pass through an area where it's not where the signal fades out a little bit. But anyway, like I was saying, I don't know that the DMV will notify you, but I know that they, if you can put in your phone number, so it would be nice if that's a feature that they're going to add. Actually, while talking, I missed my exit. It's okay, I'm not far off from where I need to be at. So, what else should you pay attention to in bad weather? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Your speed, your stopping distance. Don't be afraid of taking your road test in the snow either, because one of the good things about taking the road test in the snow is that the examiners will prefer you in some cases, in a lot of cases, to drive a little bit slower. So if you driving slower for a lot of people gives them a better chance of passing the road test. Also, if there is snow on the ground, I would say maybe 3 to 4 inches of snow. Don't be afraid of taking your road test if there's about 3 to 4 inches of snow, maybe even 3 to 6 inches of snow, because what that'll do, the thing about that is you won't have to be so perfect when you're parking. You won't have to get so close to the curb because it's hard to see the curb. So your examiners will give you a little bit, they may give you a little bit more leeway as far as being that 12-inch distance that you're supposed to be away from the curb when you finish parallel parking. So they may give you a little bit of leeway with that if there's a good amount of snow still on the ground. Right now, it's just pretty much a coating. It's probably not even 1 inch of snow, so you should be able to park normally. Should be able to still see the curb when you're parallel parking. All right. Now, the bad thing about the snow and parking is if it's a lot of snow. Sometimes when you're parallel parking, you might reverse back and then your vehicle will stop. And not because you're hitting the curb, but because you might be on a patch of snow. And then you may have to give it a little bit of gas to get over that patch of snow. So if that's the situation, if you're not parking in a clear space, then you might have that issue, and that's a little bit tricky. So and that's a good thing too, is if you're doing driving lessons with the driving school or whatever, don't always cancel because of the weather. A lot of schools might cancel, but there's a lot of instructors that will still take you in the weather, and it's good to actually practice in weather like this, so that way you can get used to knowing how to drive in bad weather. Another thing that you want to be careful of is in weather like this is when you first take off. If you're at a standstill, you at a red light, you at a stop sign or whatever, when you go to press on the gas, try not to be too abrupt because your tires might skid. And if your tires skid, then your examiners might fault you in some type of way for that. So be careful of that. And people who don't know that their tires are skidding or don't realize that their tires are skidding will continue pressing the gas even though their car is not moving that well. And that's the wrong thing to do. If your tires are skidding, you press the gas, you realize your tires are skidding, take your foot off the gas, and then go back down on the gas gradually, more gradually. All right. Again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Yep, I'm on my way, Raymond. I'm almost to you. Maybe about 5 minutes. Oh, another thing. I said this in the earlier videos too, but know where all your controls are. It's very important when you're taking a road test that you know where things are, such as your defrosters, your front defrosters, your back defrosters. Know how to turn those on. Know how to turn on your windshield wipers, because those things will affect your ability to see out the windows, and that'll affect your driving, and that'll definitely affect you when you're parallel parking. So if you're parallel parking and you're using your mirrors, excuse me, to help you parallel park, you want your mirrors to be clear, and so that way you can see out of them properly. Also, if there's snow on your windows, you might want to clear that off. You might want to clear that off so that way that doesn't partially obstruct your view. So when you, either before you get to the road test site or before you start the test, clear off your windows, make sure you can see out of them clearly. And ideally, you would put those things on after you start the car. All right. Because one of the things that could happen is that happens sometimes is while you're waiting online, if you have your lights on and your windshield wipers are going and all the defrosters are on in the car, then when you go to start and the car is off when you go to start it, sometimes all of those things are draining the battery of the car while you're sitting there. So the car might be fine when you're moving up on the line and it's on and it's everything, but then you might realize when you turn it off, and then by the time you go turn it back on again, the car won't start. And that's because the while you're sitting, when you're idling, and when you're online, the car is not moving fast enough to recharge your battery, while all of those things are being drained, are draining your battery. But you can still have it on. Some of those things on. Just be mindful of that. That could be an issue. One of the things I do when I'm online like that is if I'm in line and I have everything on, my defrosters, my lights, my windshield wipers, what I'll do is I'll periodically I will press the gas while the car's in park. I will press the gas pedal um, while I'm sitting there in order to rev the engine and that will in turn charge the battery while I'm sitting there. So that way, if I'm doing that, I'm less likely to kill the battery by the time I get to the front of the line. Let's see. Can I turn this around? Oh, I'll wait till I stop. Okay, that's the view from the front of the camera. Not a very good view. Kind of blurry. How's the temperature? I'm not sure. It's probably snowing, so I'm guessing it's either below 30 degrees out. It's probably if it's not below 30, it's probably right around 31, 32. I know earlier this morning it was around 29 degrees out, so it's probably somewhere around there. In Celsius? No, I have no idea. Unfortunately, I don't know what it is in Celsius. Yes, Europe. Yeah, I heard the road test in Europe is very intense, way more intense than the road test here in the States. I've had a few people who were from Europe or European countries, and they actually came here and did the road test. Now, that's not to say that just because you could pass the road test in Europe that you're definitely going to pass the road test here. But at least you have a good foundation of driving, of being able to drive. Oh, the Netherlands. All right, that's cool. The Netherlands. That's one of those places where I'd have to, where I wouldn't know where on the map to look. I know it's I know it's Europe, you know, but off the top of my head, but it's someplace I've heard about, and I'd like to visit the Netherlands one day. Okay, I'll see where I'm at. I'm almost there, Raymond. I'm on Liberty, but we're early. We'll be on time. It only takes from here. It'll only take us maybe another maybe 10 minutes to get to the road test sites. Oh, Holland. Okay, cool. Yes, I do know that the Netherlands exists. I watch a lot of Nat Geo channels. So one day I'll do a video for the Jamaica Road Test site. One day, oh, where am I going? Oh. Well, right now I'm on my way to the road test site in Jamaica, Queens, New York. And I was just saying that one day I will do a video, a road test video for that area. That's one of my favorite areas also, because it's not very tricky. Every area has tricky things about it, but Jamaica does not have that many tricky things going on in that area. Just maybe a couple of all-way stop signs, a couple of intersections where it might be difficult to see as you push out, and then one road where it's a narrow road but there's no yellow line to let you know that it's a two-way street. But other than that, it's not very tricky. Okay, I'm gonna end this video soon. I might start it again when we get back over to the Jamaica Road Test site.